Welcome to the Sailing Alameda org, Alameda Inc. mission statement. A word from our founder, a sailor's unexpected journey. When I was a youth, about 12 years old, in the mid-1960s, my older brother, who was about 28, was helped and subsequently volunteered for a non-profit organization called Youth for Service. They provided such outreach services for inner-city youth at risk, participating in community service projects and offering them a chance to see and experience new ideas beyond the harsh concrete streets of San Francisco. On one trip, someone decided sailing off the coast would be a great idea. They bussed a bunch of us kids down to Monterey, California, and took us out on two 40-foot sailboats off the coast with absolutely no concept of sailing, the reality that it meant. It wasn't the greatest thrill of my life. My best friend Bernard came with us, and I distinctly remember his face getting slapped by the jib sheet as we both hung on for our dear lives and the boat tilted over. I remember trying to relieve myself in the head while the boat was heeling over in high winds, then throwing up. It was a great-hearted but failed attempt. Everyone got sick, and no one ever wanted to see another sailboat or the ocean again, including me. There was no follow-up after that trip, and sailing never entered my mind until I moved to the beautiful island of Alameda, California at age 54 in 2012, and a permanent resident for the last 7 years. As I began exploring the island, mostly on bike, I suddenly found myself surrounded by harbors containing hundreds, if not thousands, of sailboats of every size and design. The more I took in those weekend rides, the more I noticed how beautiful they were. I started slowing down to pause at various marinas, taking pictures of the boats, and exploring all the shiny metallic parts, sails down, exposing the rigging, and it got me wondering what all those things did. A new curiosity struck me, and about this time the America's Cup Louis Vuitton series arrived in the summer of 2012 in San Francisco Bay in full HD NASCAR-like coverage from hovering helicopters covering the new AC-45 racing catamarans. As I watched those races, I began to see sailing in a whole new light since that 12-year-old's first ill-fated experience. I saw the teamwork required and a glimpse of what some of those shiny parts did. It looked totally awesome and fun. Then I remembered the time Bernard and I had. As a youth living in the Mission District of Bernal Heights, there would be no expectation or exposure to sailing, unless you were fortunate to have known someone who owned a sailboat or a family member into the sport. San Francisco Bay was always in my backyard. Thinking back, I wonder if that trip was a missed opportunity to change a life. The more I rode my bike around the island, I noticed there was a sailing and charter school on the west side of the island, but felt intimidated to walk inside what must have been an exclusive club. One day I happened to mention to a mutual client my possible interest in sailing. That moment changed the rest of my life. It had never come up in our professional relationship. He was a lifelong sailor, now living on the hard, once having owned a beautiful liveaboard 45-foot ketch yacht. Not owning a boat anymore, he suggested I go to sailing school and learn the proper way. But before making the expensive investment, to go out on a charter in San Francisco Bay to see if I would enjoy it. Before finally taking that charter, he handed me a brand new pair of $300 West Marine foul weather gear, foulies, never used, sitting in his closet, said, "Take them. It's a tradition in the sailing community to pay it forward. You will meet the most beautiful people from all walks of life during your training." He then took me to my first West Coast Pacific Sailboat Show, hosted back then at Jack London Square. The boat show was amazing. During that outing, we ran into the same sailing school and charter club from Alameda Island. A few months afterwards, on my 55th birthday, I booked my first sailboat ride out on San Francisco Bay aboard the largest, fastest yacht I could find in the AC USA 76 America's Cup 84-foot racing yacht, refitted for tourists. That was a final turning point. It was to this date the most exhilarating, albeit amazing experience of my life, as the USA 76 sliced through the water, fast and sleek, under the Golden Gate Bridge. Who knew sailboats were designed to tilt in the wind? And when Captain John let me take the helm on my birthday, it was overwhelming. I felt like a 12-year-old boy experiencing the greatest thrill of my life. I signed up for lessons and joined the club a few months after that charter. Later that same year, when America's Cup Finals came back to San Francisco Bay in the summer of 2013 with the awesome AC-72 foiling catamarans, I had begun my training. And since, 5 years later had become, well, now it's 7 years later, had become a professional U.S. sailing certified bareboat cruising skipper, planning and executing bareboat charters for family, guests, and friends on the bay regularly for the last 7 years. As I continued to enjoy progressing through the U.S. Sailing Association training curriculum and chartering regularly on larger and larger boats, gaining recognition for the skills that I acquired, and the club encouraging me to obtain a captain's license to teach, I noticed a lack of resources on or about the island that would introduce the youth of low-income families and those on the in, in economic edge to have access to San Francisco Bay and this wonderful world of sailing sitting right in their own backyards. As the years progressed, I decided I would one day form a true nonprofit on Alameda, reach out to the sailing community, other nonprofit funding sailing organizations, and charities interested in paying forward to provide funding for transportation and chartering costs at no charge to children of these families. Now armed with the necessary skills and experienced team, Sailing Alameda Inc., doing business as sailingalameda.org, is the outreach I had in mind to accomplish this mission. A safe journey on a sailboat. They will learn how teamwork, combined with a lot of fun, can change a life while blurring the division of color, race, sexual, religious orientation, or lower economic ladder they find themselves in. They will experience acceptance. Sailingalameda.org is totally inclusive. I hope to make it the remaining of my life's long work, a way of giving back and keeping the entire Bay Area thriving with unexpected sailors' journeys from economic inequality. I think back on what my friend said about the sailing community and the tradition of paying it forward, and he was right. Cheers. This is Roberto A. Almodovar, President, Chief Executive Officer, and founder of Sailing Alameda, Inc. Thank you for your time.